Welcome to the public forum for the CEO candidates. We're happy to have everyone here today. If we could have roll call.
Barrett.
Present.
Kavanaugh. Gay.
Here.
Green.
Here.
Hurley.
Here.
McGuire.
Here.
Mines.
Here.
Ulrich. Agenda item number 2. Notice of the time and place of this meeting was publicized by notifying the area news media, by publicizing same in the Omaha World Herald, by displaying such notice on the arcade level of Energy Plaza since March 5th, 2015, and by mailing such notice to each of the district's directors on that same date. A copy of the proposed agenda for this meeting has been maintained on a current basis and is readily available for public inspection in the office of the district's corporate secretary. Additionally, a copy of the open meetings law is available for inspection in the public meeting book located in this meeting room.
Hey, thank you, Mrs. Tracy. And by the way, we appreciate all the work you've put into this for the past few weeks. I think you've done a great job
Thank you.
keeping us in line. Welcome again to the public forum. We want to start the forum with each finalist giving a summary of their background and sharing their thoughts regarding the industry. The finalists will be allowed 10 to 15 minutes each for these introductions. Once the introductions of all finalists is complete, I'll adjourn the meeting and ask everyone to participate in one-on-one sessions with the finalists in the atrium. The finalists will be spread out in the atrium for these one-on-one sessions. Maps of where each will be located have been provided for you for your convenience, and are in, also our corporate secretary, Mrs. Tracy, has them. You'll be given 3 minutes with each finalist to ask questions. There will be forms provided to the public for all questions and comments regarding the one-on-one sessions to be turned in at the end of the evening. Feedback may be provided by completing these forms via OPPD Listens through March 13th, 2015. Nebraska's public power laws require that OPPD to provide to interested persons, including members of the news media, copies of your communications to us, including your name and other contact information. So with that, we will go ahead with our meeting and our discussions with the finalists. And I believe, Mr. Burke, you're first. I think we're going in the order of interview.
Ready to go? Well, good evening, everybody, and thanks for coming tonight. My name is Tim Burke, and I'm Vice President of Customer Service and Public Affairs with Omaha Public Power District. And I'll talk a little bit about my history, talk a little bit about what I believe are some of the impactful things going on in our industry, and a little bit about how I believe OPPD should begin to think about and address some of those issues. So I've been in the utility industry for about 33 years. It feels that long some days. The first 5 years I spent at a combination gas and electric utility, primarily working in northern Iowa in a variety of customer service, marketing, public relations, and management-related roles. I spent 10 years with a natural gas utility, both in Iowa and in Nebraska, in a variety of marketing, sales, operational, and executive roles, and essentially left that company as the state president and general manager of the Nebraska operations for Peoples Natural Gas Company. And at OPPD for the last 18 years, I've held a variety of different positions, and I'll talk a little bit about those. I have led the creation of OPPD's customer service model, which has received 13 J.D. Power awards for the -- electric utility and customer satisfaction, along with other great leaders here and employees here at OPPD. I've been the responsible executive for the transmission, distribution, and substation side of the organization. I've had responsibilities in HR and have continued to lead the customer service side of that organization. Currently, I have the responsibility for customer sales and service, where I work with some of our key account customers, our largest customers. I also work with customers that are developing new residential buildings and commercial buildings, and doing a variety of estimates of new service. I have the customer service operations side of the business, primarily a call center, billing, meter reading, field collections. This group essentially went through a fairly major overhaul after the 1997 storm that we really began to develop our customer service philosophy and model. I have responsibility for the corporate communications and marketing group, and with that comes a variety of different things, certainly both internal and external communications, as well as the marketing of our mass market product and services. I have responsibility for the corporate safety and technical training, And I'll talk a little bit about some of the successes that we've seen there. I have responsibility for the organizational analysis part of the organization, which is really OPPD's lean initiative. How can we continually improve our processes to reduce cost and improve quality? I have responsibility for both the state and federal governmental relations, and at the state level, not just what we would consider state senators, but also departments that we interface with, whether that's the Department of Economic Development, the Department of Environmental Quality, it could be the Department of Revenue, could be a variety of different organizations that we interface with both at the state level as well as the federal level. I have responsibility for our environmental and regulatory affairs. So not just the work that we do here at OPPD, but the compliance-related issues, as well as the internal audit issues that we do around air, solids, waste throughout all of our facilities here at OPPD. And I have responsibility for the economic development part, not just the recruitment of business to the area, but also the retention of business and how can we create economic benefit for the communities in which we serve. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree. I've attended MIT Nuclear Reactor Technology program. I've done a number of different other kind of specialty courses and programs really to develop me for other positions here at OPPD. I've been actively involved in the community, and I currently serve on the Omaha Chamber of Commerce Partnership Board. I serve on the executive committee and on the board of directors. I also chair the Economic Development Council. I'm on the board of directors of Partnership for Kids, where we at OPPD have over 70 volunteers that are working with kids at the elementary and junior and high school to really help them set goals, to be mentoring with them. And it's been a great opportunity for us to see that program essentially grow in this metropolitan area. I serve on the Offutt Advisory Council, Offutt Air Force Base Advisory Council. I'm on the board and the executive committee, and I'm actually a co-commander for the medical wing. I'm on the At Ease USA Board of Directors. I'm just coming off being the past chair. That organization has raised a significant amount of money to help our military men, women, and families who are suffering from PTSD and related services to them. I serve on the board of the Center for Human Nutrition. I serve as the chair of the Finance Committee and also on the board of directors. And that's really kind of driving programs to help youth and families be healthier in this community. I've been actively involved in regional and national utility-related organizations, certainly the Nebraska Power Association. I'm a past chair of the board of directors of that organization. I serve on the Communication Advisory Council for the Nuclear Energy Institute. I have served on the board and actually chaired the board of Midwest Energy Association, which is made up of over 100 different private and public utilities across the United States. I serve on the Kansas State Power Affiliates Board. It was really an initiative where we began to look at how do we recruit technical talent in our organization. And so the specialty of Kansas State is really to focus in on mechanical nuclear talent that are graduating from Kansas State. And my responsibility is to actively be involved with deans of that college, program developers of that college, and essentially be part of the recruitment team to recruit those individuals to this organization, and we've been very successful. I have served on the J.D. Power Executive Advisory Board, and I serve on the Utility Executives Committee as well, the Utility Marketing Executives. Some of the successes that I think have been really important over my 18 years here at OPPD is certainly our J.D. Power Awards, 13 times for the #1 utility and customer satisfaction. Our successes with products and services, not only the income on the financial side, but the way that we've executed them, including employee and customer stakeholder processes to make them effective and efficient. The improved operation and cost management that we've done, certainly in our transmission, distribution, substation side of the business, but also other parts of our organization as well, where we can really focus on keeping rates low or as low as they can be and improve our processes. Significant safety improvements have been done, where we have seen essentially a significant reduction of over 70 or so dark cases that may have occurred. Those are injuries that occurred where employees have to spend a day away, or they're restricted from that work, or they have to be transferred. Where now we're down to certainly 50% of that, and currently this year we have 0 dark cases, almost 3 months through the year. Significant accomplishments, and we're one of the leaders, certainly in the industry around that. Our stakeholder process that we implemented just a year ago has been a staple of kind of how OPPD is doing business, involving not only customers but employees, community organizations, in how OPPD should do business better. And that's been, I think, an incredible success. And last but not least, our leadership role in economic development. 18 years ago, we were certainly actively involved as a supporter. But I will tell you today that if you talk to David Brown, the president of the chamber, or the vice president responsible for economic development, we are truly leaders driving economic development change at that Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to talk a little bit about industry changes that are going on, certainly on the generation side of the business. We see some challenges across the nation, but certainly in our area as well. There's going to be dramatic impacts to the generation side of the business. OPPD bids into the SPP market, and we buy that energy back. So there's a variety of things that will have impact on that future generation. Certainly low natural gas prices due to vertical exploration, energy demand reductions that have occurred during the economic downturn. And as we see those come back, what are the impacts of those low wholesale prices on our business? Whether we sell into the marketplace or we have to buy into the marketplace, or how we strand potentially our generation that we have in play. So our work is going to have to be creating strategies around that. We're going to see increased regulations on fossil fuel and nuclear generating facilities. We're seeing that today, but we don't see that slowing down in the future. Renewable and distributed generation has had and will have an ongoing impact on the supply side of this business. And so what's our strategy around that? And I think what we'll see is that the utility that essentially leverages those opportunities will be successful in the future. We see a lot of things impacting our business, certainly on the transmission side, cyber security, not just nationally on the things that we hear about, but how does it impact our business on the transmission side of the business, on our business side, whether it's customer information or whether it's our nuclear and other generating side. Distribution reliability, smart grid and distributed generation will have an impact on our business in a big way. And utilities, again, that balance and leverage that will be successful. The more electronic services to our customer owners will continually be required of the utility of the future. And those utilities that balance those benefits of the smart grid in their customer service model will have increasingly satisfied customers. Customers want more options. They want more choices. They want flexibility. They want more communications. And utilities that leverage each of these will continually satisfy customers, I think, to the level that we have in the past and that we will in the future. And the customer's requirements of reliable, reasonably priced electricity with high satisfaction touches is really required by most customers today, but those expectations are continually increasing. And so we as a utility have to be prepared and be willing to change to meet those. And I think talent, recruitment, and development is going to be critical for our organization. As we come out of the downturn, I think one of the things we saw back in the mid-2000s was that demand for high technical talent and assets in our industry. And so what are we going to do to respond to that? And how are we going to respond? And I'll talk a little bit about that. Corporate risk management, as I've talked about some of these potential impacts to the industry, there's opportunities that I think OPPD can take advantage of. And so how do we mitigate the risk, but how do we take advantage of those opportunities for the benefit of our customer owners? And I think increased transparency. This may seem to be a hot topic, but it's been a long-held tradition in the public power model. But change may not be coming quick enough, and those expectations are increasing, not only for customers, board members, employees, regulators, partners, and media, but they're requiring more and more increased transparency. And OPPD's response will have to be dramatic, and I will share some thoughts as well on that tonight. So how is OPPD positioning? On the generation side of the business, I think our future generation model is a great step to that. We've taken some risk components out of it. We've positioned the utility to be prepared for future regulatory kind of changes that we're going to see with 111D, mercury air toxic standards, and a variety of other kinds of regulations that we see. I believe we'll have to prepare for a wind for export model in Nebraska. Nebraska is the fourth windiest state in the union. And so how are we going to be prepared for that, mitigate those risks, and take advantage of those opportunities? We need to understand that there's technology and trends and these potential impacts in our business. And so how will all of these impact rates, cost, and really opportunities for us? On the transmission side, I think we're well positioned. We have done things incredibly well on our NERC reliability standards. Our inspections historically have been good. I expect them to be good in the future. Our support around cybersecurity has been wonderful. Our transmission efforts with the Missouri Transmission Project, the R line in Nebraska, and our newest interconnect project with Fremont are all indications that OPPD is investing in our reliable transmission system and are planning for the future and future economic development in this region. OPPD will begin to plan for our smart grid pilot in 2015 and implementation in 2016. We've done a significant amount of substation and relay upgrades over the past years to prepare for that, and now we're going to have to begin to prepare on how we're going to use that technology to interface with our customer owners at a level that we've never had before, giving them more and better information all of the time. And on the customer service side, as I said before, OPPD has been very successful in J.D. Power and Associates awards over the last 13 years, both on the business and the residential side. But we're not going to sit on our laurels. We've made changes since we were part of this initiative with J.D. Power, where you don't get a chance to participate. They include you, and they tell you what your score is. And so the first year that we were there, we set the highest mark in the industry. And I can assure you, just in the last couple of weeks, we have met with multiple utilities about what we're doing. They're certainly not in our region, and they're not in the mid-sized category, so we don't compete with them. But we're helping them get better as well, and we've become a model for that industry. Our customer service survey for our key account customers, our largest customers, gave us satisfactions in the high 90s. That is unheard of in this time frame, in this day. We have great satisfaction with our customers, and I'm very proud of some of these accomplishments. And I will tell you this, customers trust what OPPD does because we deliver on exactly what we say we're going to do. Risk management practices, the board's going to hear next week a little bit about OPPD's response to our risk management plan, and I think it's a good plan. I think we've done a great job of evaluating risks in this organization, but I will tell you the identification of the risks are only as good as the execution of the mitigation strategies to reduce those risks and ultimately cost to our customer owners. And so we will have to make sure that we execute on those items pretty soundly. So on the increased transparency, I'm going to break this into two pieces, both external and internal. And I'm going to talk about internal first, and the board heard a little bit about this yesterday. So here's my plan. I've had a long history to meet every employee in my business unit. Every new employee, whether that's contract, part-time, full-time employee, I meet them individually. I'm going to probably do something a little different because I'm not sure I'm going to be able to meet all the people, new people, but I'm going to make an effort to find a way to be able to do that in this organization. Because I think it's really important for a CEO to give what my kids would call speech 23. You know, what does it mean to be a Burke? And so from my perspective is, what does it mean to be an OPPD employee? I conduct 12 to 15 roundtables annually. So I have 12 to 15 employees that are in an employee meeting once a month. It's important for me to hear what the roadblocks are for them getting their work done and what are some of their victories. I also hold 3 to 4 business unit meetings for our business unit to talk about the things that are important to our business unit, but for us to communicate very consistently across our business unit about what's going on here at OPPD. And I know this works. And I know this works because just in our recent culture survey and even prior, when OPPD utilized Q12, the business unit that I had responsibility for was the highest ranked business unit within OPPD. My plan is to bring that to the corporation and that kind of commitment to our employees about that kind of a culture. And this year we were 1 or 2 points just below the best places to work. That's kind of unheard of in this utility industry. And so my goal is for our organization at OPPD to be one of the best places to work. Externally, as I shared with the board yesterday, I want to conduct annual meeting-like events throughout the service territory. I want to do that 4 times a year. And over the course of 2 years, we'll be able to do an annual meeting-like event in each of the board members' service areas for us to talk to customers, to tell them what's going on with our business. Not just the good things, but the things that maybe not be working well. And the reason why I think that's so important is, one, the transparency piece, but I want to be able to show the great things that are happening at OPPD with our employees. Because if we just talk about the good things, there's a lot of assumptions being made is that OPPD does great things. But it's when we see things that don't go well, the 97 storm and how OPPD has responded to that, a time when a power plant was down and how we're recovering that, are all great stories for us to be able to share with our board, and we'll continue to do that. My commitment would be to conduct quarterly briefings with the media, to talk about what's going on in OPPD. Not just the good things, but the things that aren't going well, but what our strategy and our plans are to improve those items. And then last but not least, I'd like to hit the community circuit with the senior management team. We have a great senior management team, and they do some great work, and they're recognized nationally for the great work that they do. And my job is to, along with the senior management team and our subject matter experts, to really drive what's going on at OPPD throughout all the communities that we serve. And my objective is really to do this true outreach to the communities and to really regain and increase the public's trust in OPPD. And so with that, those are my comments.
very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next we're going alphabetically here is Mr. Mo Dogman.
Well, good evening and thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I think I'm gonna have to use my reading glasses. Catching up with all of us. My name is Mo Dogman. I am married and we have 2 daughters, son-in-law and a grandson. My wife Mary, a Nebraska native, and I met at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, where I earned my degree in electrical engineering. I received my master's in engineering with emphasis on power systems at the University of Missouri and MBA at University of Nebraska, Omaha. I worked for Black & Veatch, a large consulting firm in Kansas City, before returning to Omaha in 1989 to work for OPPD. It's been a great company to work for, and I am so proud of the service that we provide to our customers. My leadership style has been consistent through the years. I am inclusive, transparent, and decisive. Continuous learning, honesty, courage, transparency, valuing and trusting employees have been my core values. These are the same values that I believe will be needed to navigate through the uncertain and challenging times that our industry has been and will continue to face. Some of the top industry issues of concerns are reliability, increasing regulations, and an aging power grid. A reliable power grid is critical to our national security, our economy, and our way of life. Therefore, it has to continue to be a main focus for our industry. As Tim mentioned, the current low price of natural gas has put a pressure on some nuclear plants. Some companies, and it's been publicized, are considering shutting down some of their plants. It's also projected that a large number of coal power plants will be forced to shut down due to increased regulations. The natural gas price is currently low, but there is always potential price volatility due to increase in demand or insufficient pipelines. Also, any disruption in supply or delivery could cause the price to spike. Renewable and sustainable energy is important and should be a significant part of our portfolio. The challenge is, as some of us know, that it's not dispatchable. That means we cannot count on it to be there when we need it. We know that supply of energy must be able to match the demand, and if there is mismatch, you end up with outages. Also, federal energy regulators have voiced concerns regarding power grid reliability. With the increased Environmental Protection Agency rules, and if power plants start shutting down without an integrated replacement plan, the reliability concern could become a reality. In summary, the current situation for the power industry: first, some nuclear power plants are at risk of shutting down due to high operational costs. Second, some coal power plants are also at risk of shutting down due to increased regulations. Natural gas price is currently low, but we all know not too long ago it was about 3-4 times higher. Fourth, renewable and sustainable energy is important, but we cannot count on it all the time. For those reasons, I will continue and expand on a diverse generation portfolio, which I believe is a wise strategy, realizing that it's prudent to verify the viability of all generation as we do all the time. I will also focus on the following. First, reliability. OPPD has done a great job, and OPPD has one of the best reliability indexes in the region. We maintain this high reliability not only through complying with industry standards, but rather excelling to ensure reliable and safe operations of OPPD's power grid. On average, an OPPD customer experiences about 70 minutes of power outage per year, which is really, really good. We will continue to work hard on improving what's already very good through our continuous improvement program to ensure timely replacement of degraded equipment. Second, I will focus on Fort Calhoun. Fort Calhoun Station is a strategic asset for OPPD. It is carbon-free. We have reliable, newer equipment. Fort Calhoun is operating safely and producing power at 95% capacity. Exelon has done a good job recovering the plant, and we need to accelerate the improvement of the rate of improvement. We need to be more intrusive. We've heard that from INPO, and we need to be more accountable. Our journey to excellence is on track, and we need to accelerate it. I will work with Exelon on more aggressive improvement plan. OPPD is the owner and will drive Fort Calhoun improvement pace. Economic development. Economic development is best served by providing reliable, cost-effective, and environmentally sensitive energy. Being flexible and responsive, delivering on what we promise will be key in driving economic development. Wind. OPPD has done a great job with our wind energy. I will pursue a plan to take advantage of the solar investment tax credit to boost our renewable portfolio. Distributed generation. Distributed generation, including rooftop solar, might be a viable opportunity for OPPD and our customers. I will explore this opportunity and ensure that those who cannot afford the upfront cost and don't have solar panels are not paying for those who do. Smart grid. Smart grid is another opportunity for OPPD and our customers. As Tim mentioned, the time has come to implement a pilot project starting later this year. We will validate projected benefits and develop a strategic plan going forward. I believe that OPPD's responsibility as public power is first to produce and deliver electricity safely in a cost-effective manner to our customers. Second, to educate our customers in how to be most efficient in its use so we may conserve our resources and be responsible in protecting our environment. And finally, my leadership style is inclusive and transparent. This is how I engage inside OPPD. This is how I've done it for 26 years, and this is how I will do it with our customers and community. I believe I'm uniquely qualified to lead OPPD with cost-effective focus on core business, grounded by our mission of providing affordable, reliable, and environmentally sensitive energy services to our customers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Duggan. Appreciate that. Next, we have Mr. Stephen Mormon.
Good evening. I too will switch my glasses. I'm getting used to bifocals here, so be patient with me, please. Okay. I'd like to first say that it's a deep honor to be considered for the CEO position of OPPD. a great company in a great state with a proud tradition of public power over many decades. I want to thank the members of the board as well as the OPP staff who will for setting up a very robust process for determining the next CEO of OPPD, who will partner with the entire team at this great organization to lead the company through a new set of challenges in the years to come. As I look across all sectors of the electric utility industry, including investor-owned utilities, we call them IOUs, municipal companies, co-ops, there are a lot of great things happening in the public power sector, and it would be an honor to be part of that excitement, passion, dedication demonstrated every day by the public power employees of Nebraska. Reflecting on my 31-year career in the electric and gas utility industry, I've always strongly believed that those of us who work in this industry have an absolutely awesome and sacred responsibility to provide an essential service to our customers, our fellow citizens, and neighbors in a safe, reliable, affordable, and environmentally sensitive manner, day in and day out, regardless of extreme operating conditions. From my perspective, I can see that the 2,300 members of the OPPD team continue to fulfill this sacred responsibility each and every day for 360,000 customers living in 47 towns and cities across the service territory. Now, all utility companies, particularly integrated utility operations such as OPPD, periodically encounter challenging periods, and it is my understanding that OPPD has indeed recently endured such a challenging period, which has significantly tested the company. Like all good utility companies, OPPD has drawn on a proud and long tradition to learn valuable lessons from this experience, thus transforming itself into a better utility, ready and geared up to meet a new set of energy challenges in the decades ahead. Now, as a citizen of Maryland and having grown up and worked in Baltimore City, I look forward to learning more about OPPD operations and its service territory, the state of Nebraska, as well as the challenges of public power. In this personal journey, I will be a patient and active listener, as well as an engaged and collaborative leader, as the company continues to execute a strong strategic plan consistent with an enduring set of corporate values and a steady vision of the future. In many respects, the customers of OPPD are blessed with 4 highly qualified candidates for the CEO position, and thus the company and its customers will significantly benefit regardless of which candidate ultimately prevails in this very robust process. I'm honored to stand here together with Mo, Tim, and Greg, and it's been a pleasure to meet these fine gentlemen. Now, what would I bring to this position? As an independent outsider with a fresh perspective, I would bring, first of all, 31 years of investor-owned utility experience with nearly 20 years at the executive level, encompassing a diversity of skill sets developed from executive assignments in customer service operations for a utility with 1.1 million customers, to business development and value-added services for both residential and commercial customers, to finance and treasury services, and finally to power generation, including nuclear power, fossil fuels, and renewable energy. At times during the last 15 years, I've been very fortunate to provide financial services to power generation affiliates encompassing 40 generating stations in 15 states in this great nation, encompassing also over 10,000 megawatts and $11 billion of assets. Moreover, I've had the privilege to work with a staff of 5 nuclear units covering 3 sites for 4,000 megawatts representing a top decile performing fleet in the industry. I believe that my utility finance experience is well noted in my resumes and some of the other materials that have been provided to the press. However, I do want to further emphasize that I've spent over 10 years in the customer-facing divisions of a major utility with 1.1 million customers. These services include meter reading, customer accounts and billing, credit and collections for residential and small commercial customers, as well as providing value-added services to commercial customers, including electrical services, lighting retrofits, HVAC, campus and district energy, and financial services. You should also know that in my 31 years, I have also benefited from significant experience with joint ventures, partnerships, jointly owned power plants, as well as negotiating power purchase and plant operating agreements. And then rounding out my experience, I have significant experience with both federal and state regulatory authorities, the NRC, the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, known as the FERC, and I've served on both private company and not-for-profit boards in prior years. I believe this broad experience will be very beneficial to integrated mid-sized companies such as OPPD as these companies face future challenges in a very demanding and uncertain energy industry. In some respects, I'm not a stranger to public power, since for the past 5 years, I've worked closely with many colleagues and stakeholders of Electricity de France, known as EDF, a 50% partner in an international nuclear joint venture that I was a part of. As you may know, EDF is a world-class power and utility company, 85% owned by the French government and primarily focused on France, but with a worldwide footprint, operating over 60 nuclear power plants in the state of France in a safe, reliable, and cost-effective manner over many decades. Additionally, over a decade ago, I worked closely with the stakeholders of Long Island Power Authority, another very large public power entity, some of whom you may know, to structure a new operating agreement for a jointly owned nuclear unit in upstate New York. Since we purchased and integrated this nuclear site into our fleet, this particular nuclear station on Lake Ontario continues to provide low-cost, reliable power to the public power citizens and owners of LIPA. Now, as the 2013 OPPD report notes, the company is gearing up in high gear to meet the challenges of 2015 and beyond. As the 12th largest public power utility in the U.S., OPPD seems very well positioned to lead the public power industry in the next decade and beyond. As many of you have observed, OPPD continues to have many competitive advantages, including a diversified customer base, an economically healthy service territory, a well-balanced generating mix, which continues, by the way, to improve as additional renewable energy is added, a favorable state regulatory environment, and a very involved customer base, competitive rates, strong credit ratings and liquidity levels, a strong plan for continued improvements in safety and operational excellence at Fort Calhoun Nuclear Station, and most importantly, a strong and dedicated team of employees across all functions and at all levels within the organization. As CEO of OPPD, I would remain steadfastly committed to partnering with many stakeholders of the company to ensure that the company maintains a fine leadership position in the public power industry and the community. Like many other electric utilities, including those with power generation, OPPD should remain vigilant and committed to take on a new set of challenges. And these challenges include, first, continuing to timely execute a sustained plan of operational excellence in nuclear safety at Fort Calhoun Nuclear Station. Executing reductions in the company's carbon footprint in a cost-effective and reliable manner, including plant retirements, retrofits, and repowering projects at various coal plants in your territory. Responding to emerging regulatory developments for reducing greenhouse gas emissions and meeting other quality standards. Executing a significant expansion in your demand-side management program, as well as doubling your renewable energy portfolio. Meeting any additional regulatory demands for additional plant modifications at Fort Calhoun, while also exploring the possibility of a cost-effective uprate at that plant. And finally, last but not least, ensuring that the company has a self-sustaining pipeline of good talent while ensuring that the company continues to invest in its people. As CEO of OPPD, I would partner with the board, the management team, the 2,300 loyal employees, and the community at large to flexibly meet those challenges while maintaining operational excellence and affordable rates to our customers. In closing, it would be an honor to serve as the CEO of OPPD, to get to know the employees of the company, as well as the citizens of Nebraska and the many other important OPPD stakeholders at large. I'd be happy to answer any questions about my background and experience during the remaining time in the public forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mormon. And if I may speak for my fellow board members, I do totally agree with you that we do have 4 highly qualified candidates here tonight. We're happy to
Thank
have
you.
all 4 of
Thank
you
you.
here. And we're blessed.
Yes, you are.
Okay, Mr. Greg Starheim.
Over the next few minutes, I'd like to introduce myself to you. I'd like to share with you a little bit about my background, and then give you my perspectives on the industry that we're serving right now. I told a story a little earlier today, and it's very true, and that is when I graduated from mechanical engineering school in 1984, there was a bunch of us that were fresh graduates out of engineering school, and some of my friends were going to work in the defense industry, very exciting industry. Some of my friends were graduating and going to work in the semiconductor industry. And then I took a job with General Electric that was going to be working in the electric utility industry, and I caught a lot of flack from my friends in that, why are you going to such a boring industry? But in fact, if anything has been proven false, it's been that. Because we're in a very dynamic industry, it's a very exciting industry, and I'm very pleased to be part of that. So with that, let me explain a little bit about my background. As with Steve, I have 31 years experience in this industry. Right out of engineering school, I did go to work for a small company that some of you may have heard of by the name of General Electric. This was in their power generation field, and we serve primarily electric utilities, including utilities like OPPD. During that time, I worked for GE Nuclear, and that was a very exciting opportunity that allowed me to get trained as a senior reactor operator at a nuclear power plant in Ohio. There were other aspects of that career, and that involved working on coal-burning power plants and clean coal technologies. That definition of what constitutes clean coal technology has changed a lot over the years. But at the time, it was gasification combined cycle, and we worked very closely with federal and state folks to develop several large clean coal burning power plants. Also, I worked a lot in natural gas combined cycle projects, including advanced combined cycles that we deployed not just in the United States, but across the world as well. During that time with GE, I had the opportunity to not just be involved in engineering and customer service, but also manage engine development programs and leading large multifunctional teams, which taught me a lot about leadership skills, often teams that cross borders beyond the United States with global partners. So this was an opportunity to work in a very diverse field with very diverse partners in various roles. I also had the opportunity to go to work for General Electric's Corporate Research and Development Center, and with 3 other colleagues, we managed GE's Corporate Research Center. And I had direct responsibilities for the research that was being done for the power generation business, as well as the aircraft engine business, our locomotive business in Erie, Pennsylvania, as well as medical systems. So that was a 19 to 20-year, very exciting career. And after that, I had the opportunity to switch gears and go onto the utility side, where I became the CEO of an electric cooperative in New York, upstate New York. It was a distribution utility. We worked very closely with the Department of Energy, and we fully deployed smart grid technology across this system. And I have to tell you, as consumers of OPPD, that technology can provide a tremendous amount of value to you to help you make energy efficiency decisions that you wouldn't otherwise have informed decisions to make. We also formed a generation business while I was there. And in that time, we developed several large wind projects, as well as a landfill gas project similar to what OPPD operates right now. So I have familiarity with that, as well as normal operational responsibilities that was mentioned earlier, including the metrics associated with delivering to our consumer customers, member owners, high reliability at the lowest possible cost in a very safe manner. That is pervasive across any utility that you come across. Lastly, 3 years ago, I was given the opportunity to come to Western Kentucky, where I assumed the responsibilities as President and Chief Executive Officer for Kenergy Corp. Kenergy is a very well-run utility. It's a very impressive utility with a large industrial base, and we have been working very hard on economic development opportunities, where we've been able, over the years, to attract and retain a significant number of jobs in heavy industries, which is the backbone of this country. Similar to what was talked about earlier, energy efficiency and demand response programs are vital for consumers to make informed decisions, and there's been a number of programs very successfully deployed at Kenergy. So that's a little bit about my background. My management philosophy, similar to what was described earlier by some of the candidates, is I'm an open book. I'm very transparent. I believe that in order for an organization to be successful, it's built on teamwork, it's built on trust amongst employees, trust amongst you all in your trust in your utility, as well as, of course, good relationships between the Chief Executive Officer and the Board of Directors. So that's a little bit about me. In my remaining time, I'd like to talk a little bit about what I see going on in this industry. After 31 years, as I mentioned, it's a very dynamic industry. Things are changing quite a bit. We in this business make decisions that we're going to live with for many years, 20 years, 30 years. When you build a Fort Calhoun plant, you're living with it for 50, 60, 70 years. And so these are very difficult decisions where making a decision today on a set of information that you have in front of you may change over time with regulatory changes, consumer interests, and of course, fuel prices and other things. So I applaud OPPD on what they've done on diversifying their generation portfolio. That is, in my mind, a very important and smart thing to have done. We don't know what natural gas prices are going to do in the future. Nuclear, it's after many years of struggling, after decades of not seeing any nuclear plants, we're now seeing in this country the first 3 new nuclear plants under construction, which is very encouraging to determine whether or not those plants will be successful and whether we'll see nuclear energy be a vital alternative to replacing the thousands of megawatts of coal generation that is due to be shut down over the next several years. So that is that is something that this industry is watching very carefully, and I'm very hopeful that we'll see that be successful. What was mentioned earlier was the regulatory environment. And what the prior candidates mentioned, I support wholeheartedly, and that is there is intense pressure on greenhouse gas emissions in this country, which is driving regulatory pressures out of the federal government. And I do fully suspect that many of the plants that are due to be slated for shutdown over the next several years will indeed do just that. So what's going to replace this? Is it going to be nuclear energy? Perhaps. When you talk about a new nuclear plant costing in the $5 to $10 billion and taking over 12 years to develop, that's a pretty serious commitment and a potential risk to a business. Is it going to be natural gas? Natural gas prices, especially with the fracking in the Northeast and Pennsylvania, it does look to be a very attractive alternative. But we don't have to look very far back, as recent as a year ago, January and February, when we had a severe weather condition. And many of those natural gas plants, brand new, very high technology and efficient plants, were not able to run during the times that they were needed most because of gas unavailability. So if we are going to depend on natural gas as a country, we need significant build out of pipeline infrastructure, and not just pipeline infrastructure, but also storage capabilities. So that is something I'm very concerned about if we are, as a country, going to be very reliant on natural gas in the future. I want to wrap up with talking about renewables. Certainly there's a major place for renewables, and Nebraska is very blessed with having the wind resources and fortunate to have a regulatory and political environment where that's being allowed to prosper and to develop those resources. However, as was mentioned earlier, these are not base-loaded resources. You can't rely on those generation resources when they're needed. Solar, the cost of solar has come down significantly over the last 5 to 6 years, to where now the economics of solar are starting to look attractive. As far as I'm concerned, it's one thing for someone like yourselves to consider putting rooftop solar on your homes, but as a consumer-owned business focused on helping consumers, should we not consider to develop a community solar project, which those members and customers of OPPD that want to elect into that kind of technology to buy into a solar project where you have economies of scale and you don't have to worry about nails in your roof and leaks associated with it. The hassles could be taken off your back, and in a way that makes a lot of sense. I also want to just wrap up on smart grid. It was mentioned several times tonight. Technology is pervasive in this business. You could almost make an argument that the utility industry is turning into a technology-driven industry, a tech company, so to speak. OPPD could consider itself. Smart grid is pervasive. In my past career, I've had the opportunity to deploy smart grid twice. Once in New York, and now we're deploying it right now in Kentucky. This is technology that is putting the power in your hands to be able to, for you to, either on your smartphone or on a website, to be able to find out how much power have you consumed over that year, and what are you consuming this instant, and to understand your usage profiles and what's driving your energy bills. So that's technology that is available now that can be deployed, and I commend OPPD for considering a pilot in this area. No longer should anyone have to report an outage. Instantaneously, when an outage does occur, it should show up in an outage management system, and trucks should be rolling, and you should have a text message or a phone call or an email or however you want to be communicated with to tell you that we know you're out of power, here's our ETA, and we'll keep you updated along the way. So today, I agree, consumers expect more, and they should expect more. They should expect white glove customer service, and it's available now with technologies that can deliver that kind of power to the consumers. Service reliability. Smart grid is not just about consumer benefits. It's about how do we run our electric systems more efficiently. So it's a very exciting time in my mind for the electric utility industry. We have tremendous dynamics on the generation side of the business. But we also have a lot of dynamics and tools available through technology that is going to allow us to operate more efficiently and for consumers to make informed decisions to help you manage your energy bills better. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to add a couple of things. First of all, our directors Ulrich and Kavanaugh have asked me to apologize publicly to the candidates that they're unable to come because of previous personal commitments. The good news is that they'll still be able to listen to the interviews on OPPDlistens.com, as well all of anyone can listen to all four of the public forum candidates, the interviews that we had with the candidates the past 2 days, plus this forum will be on OPPDlistens.com. About how soon will that be on? Some of it's on already? Interviews are already on, and this will be on by tomorrow morning. So we welcome everyone to look at that, and you can write also your comments on OPPDlistens.com. And now we can adjourn this meeting.
I'd like to offer that we thank all four of these candidates. They have
Yeah, we can take it again. Let's do it.
Thank you all.
It's been a great lesson that we've learned a lot, or hopefully the public has learned a lot and will continue to learn. Yeah, we appreciate the time and the efforts that you've taken
Thank you.
to come and share with us. Do we have to close the session now, or what do we do?
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned, and then we can go to the
Atrium.
into the atrium and enjoy our visits with one another. Thank you for thinking of me.